Hi, Larry Franchimon, Training Director for Travis Industries. Today we're going to walk through the installation of a Radiant Plus small insert from Avalon into a zero clearance fireplace. Before we get into that, I wanted to give you some tips and pointers about how to properly identify the application that customer's looking for. I find it's very common for a consumer to walk into a retail outlet and ask for an insert for their insert, or say they have an insert with gas logs. Let's make sure they understand and we educate them on exactly what they have and what we can offer. Some easy questions to help identify that for the consumer is, what type of chimney does it have? Does it have a metal chimney or a brick chimney like I mentioned before? That way we know it's wood burning. Does it go up or does it go out the back? Again, that way we can identify whether it's a wood burning fireplace or a direct vent fireplace. On this particular fireplace, it looks like a wood burning fireplace, but it does have gas logs that are installed into the opening. We now know that this is a zero clearance fireplace by one, identifying that it has a metal chimney, and two, typically you'll find the manufacturing tag so we know what the model is. We want to have this information to help confirm that our application will work and that it will fit. Please refer to the owner's manual or to our sales brochure for the correct sizing and where to take measurements. One last question to ask for that's helpful on understanding what panel applications you want to use is, does it have louvers on top or bottom? This particular fireplace does not. It's not a ventilated fireplace or what they would deem a heat circulating fireplace, but later you'll see the fireplace that we actually do the installation on does have vents top and bottom. That will help us determine what we can do to the fireplace and what would be the proper panel to put in that application. We're going to be installing the new Radiant Plus Small from Avalon. With that, we're going to take out this set of gas logs. It runs at about 45,000 BTUs, taking all that heat from this that goes up the chimney and installing a lower consumption, high efficiency direct vent insert, the Radiant Plus Small. With that, we're going to be running a 25,000 BTU unit, almost half the BTUs, and we're going to get all that heat back in the room, get rid of the drafts going up the chimney, and give the consumer the convenience of remote control operation, thermostatic operation, and of course program functions that are available with the new Radiant Plus. Here's what the fireplace looks like before we get started. You can see gas logs have a very nice decorative fire, but you're also going to have all that heat going up the chimney and, like I mentioned before, extra consumption. You'll note that throughout various steps along the way, he takes the time to make sure we're keeping the job site clean. And then here are our cap options that we can use. One is our Prairie cap, which is great for masonry chimneys, but sometimes we advise using the high wind cap. That high wind cap will give us the ability to actually add an intermediate section and get the exhaust above the decorative shroud. Here you can see we're pre-attaching the flashing before we stretch the liner and connect it to the adapter. Now you can see he's installing a 6-inch section on top of the adapter so that we can actually clear that decorative shroud. That way we don't have to modify the aesthetics of the home. Gets it in place, screws it together, puts on the cap, and then screws the cap on. You can also see in this particular case, we took the time to paint the cap so it looks a little bit more attractive. On this job, we're using a custom 4-sided panel so that it finishes it off all the way around. It still can be a little bit of a tight fit because of the fact that we have to lift it up and over the tabs to engage it in place. Once we've got it on, we'll add the 2 screws onto the top that were removed so that we can physically attach the panel to the appliance. Now it comes time to initialize the remote. To do that, we simply add the batteries to the receiver. As soon as we get all 4 batteries in, the red light will come on, and then it's just a matter of pushing any button on the remote. Once we've done that, you'll get the blinking sequence and we can put the cover back on. At this point, he's lit the pilot, and then we can push the up button on the remote till it turns on to high. As you can see, as he's checking the operation up and down, you will see that confirmation with a red light on the receiver indicating that it's getting the signal. Last but not least, we place the face on. This Times Square face really finishes off the look, and you can also see with that custom surround, it really makes it look very finished. Make sure you put all the fragile belongings that you removed back in place. So we've reached the end of the installation, and a couple things I want to point out to the salespeople. One, when we look at this appliance, it's pretty basic. It's designed to be entry level. What can we add to the sale, and how can we correctly finish this appliance off? One, you have your choice of faces to consider, but as you saw, the universal face as an example would not fit because it sits a little taller. It wouldn't have fit inside the arched opening. The other shot that I showed you was how the standard panel, our standard 3-sided panel, would fit in there, and it wouldn't fit sitting elevated without modifying the firebox. In some cases, we wouldn't be able to modify the firebox. So what we did is we went with this custom surround panel, a 4-sided panel. Travis Industries offers for our inserts a custom panel program. With that, you have a specific form that you have for 3-sided or for the 4-sided. You fill in the dimensions as specified. It also asks you to include what face option you're putting on there with the SKU number. We do that because we want to make sure that we're double checking that we've got all the right parts going with it, so down the line, once we get to the end of the job, we don't run into a glitch with having something that was mismatched and not compatible. Keep in mind, when we process these forms, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get through the manufacturing process, and another 2 to 3 weeks to get to the final destination. Of course, those lead times are going to vary based upon the location of the dealership and how that part is routed, whether it's going through a distributor or whether it's going to one of our local warehouses. So we're looking at about a total time of 4 to 6 weeks. But when you consider how this would look if I had this installed with the bottom unfinished, or with it sitting down low and the top being unfinished. So it's a great detail that adds attention and quality to the job and really makes it look finished. So those are little things on the sales end we can do to make the job right.